Last time on the Empire's Edge.
So I guess we just head back out again, but now we don't have any idea where to look.
Something sounds a little bit like old leather creaking.
Oh crap. Can I dispel magic on the floor and we drop into the water and get out by the water?
Unless you guys want to fight through probably close to 400 enemy hostiles.
Yeah, taking a look at the water, do I feel like it's deep enough to cushion our fall?
So if we turn back, we're going to die. So a brief moment of death, and then we're ourselves again.
Ben, you just killed a cave fisher, but you realize that there are large predators down here. You have no idea what direction Sarntar Azul is, let alone any other part of the Brimroar Hills, and you are lost and alone underground. So, anything, you guys leveled up last time. You seemed kind of stunned by it. Anything in particular you want to share about your characters that changed from last to this beyond just hit points or another spell? Any abilities that have come up?
No biggie. I can just read all writing and see through all darkness to a range of 120 feet.
Oh yeah, Warlock.
Yeah.
That is cool. That is an amazing ability.
Nothing big.
Yeah,
Nothing big.
Well, the way Wizards of the Coast handles it, nothing big at all, because it's just Eyes of the Runekeeper. You read all writing.
Yeah.
Oh!
Huge. Absolutely huge.
I can blight
Especially
things.
in a game like this. You can blight things.
You're a druid. I thought you were supposed to do exactly not that.
I cast
Well,
Ruin
I could
Corn
make
on the
them
cob.
better if I wanted to, too, but I could blight them to start off.
Wait,
the
is there-
Zelen giveth
is-
and the Zelen
Is
taketh
there an
away.
unblight to that?
There is.
Plant growth.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
What about Jacob?
Jacob took another level in Rogue, gained the Cunning action, so gets to do lots of other things with the bonus action.
He can run away really effectively.
I can get out of combat very effectively. So now, as many times as you like to throw me into melee, I can fix that.
That's great. So your sneakosity is improved.
Exactly, yeah. So using my bonus action rather than just counting Hunter's Mark, now later on in combat, I can use that bonus action to then also disengage.
Oh, very
from
cool.
From an opponent.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that is cool. All right, so into the game. That combat just ended. Boris, as far as I can recall, the filament from that cave fisher
He is still stuck to my armor.
Is still stuck to your armor, exactly. So what's your first course of action down here in this place?
I get an arrow from Jacob, so I don't have to actually handle the filament as I try to separate it from myself.
Yeah, I'm sure I can spare one.
All right.
Is there anything arcanic? What are these things? Are these things useful at all? I mean, we've eaten wasps. Can we eat these things?
Survival check, see if I can.
Yeah, sure. Go
figure
ahead.
out
Roll
if
it.
Oh, I'll do it
he
too.
is edible. I'm not in my favorite terrain, I'm assuming. I don't like
That is
caves.
correct. Yeah.
It's only a 25.
Wow.
18.
Actually, Jacob, you do know that somehow that the meat should be edible, and you believe you've heard something about how that the blood can even have an intoxicating effect.
Ooh.
Ew.
Hey.
You might even find
Literal bloodthirst.
A Bloody Mary. I mean, that's like a totally.
I wish I had a pun now.
you tug on that filament and it moves a little bit. Hey, was your name Mary? So what
Yeah.
are you thinking about?
Yeah.
Harvesting it? Going up and
yeah,
getting
let's-
it?
Is the filament still attached to it? Give it a yank.
Yeah, I'll switch and potentially get my hand stuck. And
Just go ahead and do
give it a
as
haul.
an athletics check.
sweet, I'm good at those. He claimed 12.
Gosh.
Can I assist him? I'm rather strong.
Are you proficient in athletics, though?
I can also just pull, I guess.
You could just make your own roll and you can
Great,
just
now we're
pull
both stuck
on
to this thing.
14.
Yeah, but I rolled a 4.
Oh. Modified?
What, you both rolled a 14?
No, I rolled a nat 4 for a 12.
Oh, yeah, and I rolled a nat 8 for a 14.
Okay, so with the 14, I guess with the two of you there, but it seems like you're trying to let go and
I'm
Jacob
pulling on
goes,
Boris and he's pulling on the filament.
that it does come loose off the ledge up above and drops to the ground.
All right, I take our sticky keg and let's go for an adventure.
Yeah. How big is the thing? Is it portable?
It would be...
Is it potable?
It is potable.
Wow. Apparently it is. So this thing probably weighs about 80 pounds.
Oh, okay. That's not as big as I thought it was going to be. That's reasonably.
That's still well within my
Manageable.
carrying capacity.
Yeah, so I don't think we're
Somehow.
in a point. Do we need
Well,
to rest
we've
right
lost all of our rope too, so I wonder if the filament is useful.
now? Can we
Potentially.
harvest filament from something that's dead, or does it need to be alive to produce that? I have no idea.
I don't know. Do a survival check.
Well, we've got a fair
Yeah.
bit dangling from
Yeah.
its face.
Okay, just gonna throw the.
You shot it with an arrow, right?
I don't know.
Or you hit it with a magic knife, right?
I hit it.
I
Yeah.
that's
take
right,
a
yeah,
sip
it
from our new
exploded.
keg.
Did you roll a 20?
No, I rolled a 1.
Oh, okay. The opposite of that.
I got a 15.
you believe you could harvest and use this filament. It might
Okay.
it might need to be like bound to other things to give it strength, but and to take care of its like
So
the sticky elements.
We need
it.
to stand by for some alchemical shenanigans, but hypothetically.
But the way that I'm playing a cave fisher, the end of the filament is sticky. The actual filament along its length is not.
Okay.
That's even easier.
Nice.
yeah.
All
We
right.
could
So
just
you
glue
could
the
just-
rope somewhere instead of tying it.
You could wind it up even.
Yeah. like-
So cut the sticky part off, wind it up.
And I forget what I said. 20 feet above, I think it was the
Yeah.
25 or
So
your spell was. I think there was like a 30-foot range. spell
counter
that did it.
offer.
Yeah.
I'm going to like situate it like as part of backpack, I guess, and then use the filament as the strap,
There you go,
and
yeah.
basically adhere the thing to my back.
Okay, so,
So that
you're.
way I've still got hands free.
We'll
Are
say
you going to figure out some kind of little straw and then it suddenly becomes one of those watered
those
backpack
little
things?
back-
those
beer
beer
buddy?
hats? Yeah.
I don't think I could put 80 pounds on my head.
No, but you could set it on the top of your pack and tie it up to the top of the pack. So
and I
looks like
just
an
want to
alpine
mention,
pack that's up. It's
I
up high.
do think that I killed it with ice knife, so it might already be chilled.
Yeah, no, I and
wow.
opened. I took a sip.
Slushy.
Yeah. Tastes
We've invented the blood slushy.
tastes like blood and vodka. So a little bit like vodka after
Yeah.
a fight.
It's the
Wait,
correct way to
what
drink
goes
it.
into a Bloody Mary?
Blood and
Not-
Mary.
not blood.
yeah,
blood.
tomato.
Look at the vodka though.
So, Jacob,
Tabasco.
Yes.
once this is over, go ahead and roll survival that you're looking for, like where this continues to.
Unnatural 20.
From the space you are right now, it looks like there are some potential openings up above on that ledge that maybe this thing could climb through. We're talking really small. Like maybe if you guys like shed all of your armor and gear, if you could climb up there, you could worm back into cracks in the rocks wherever this thing came from, because it doesn't seem as though it just sits here, in perpetuity. But the only large passage is the one that you're on, and it continues, that way into the darkness. You don't see any of the way out of here apart from back to where the water was.
You guys want to start climbing through small
I
crevices or just continue
Guess
on the
we
large path?
head that way. No, I do not want to try take all my stuff off to try to climb through something that small. That
Then-
seems
Yeah,
dangerous.
sure.
Let's keep in the big path and start walking.
Okay, you got it. So
Head on a swivel just in case no more of these things.
So head on the swivel, you turn back around, and when you do, looking in Boris's direction, I'm guessing you're out front because
Yeah,
you're the
probably.
intern, yeah. That you see like a very minor glow, and it's right there. It's almost startling, like a
Is it
couple
the
of,
behind him?
spider?
like a couple of eyes looking at you right now. And then in the next moment, because does somebody have a torch going down here at this point?
Yeah, I produce flame.
Yeah, so that would make sense that you there was something that had been up, that you realize this little bit of light you're catching, this kind of odd glow, is coming from Boris himself.
Oh,
Boris, you're glowing.
Thank you, darling. did the sip from the underground crustacean monster give me magic powers? Because I like having more magic powers.
No, actually, when Jacob actually says something to you, it's like, Boris, I think your eyes are very subtly glowing.
I thought there
But-
was someone behind you,
but,
just like
I
a pair
mean,
of eyes glowing.
You guys could do an Arcana check.
Shut your
I am
eyes for a second.
Fantastic at
Okay.
Arcana.
So if he closes his eyes, is it still
Yeah,
glowing?
No,
Through my
well,
eyelids?
Yeah, not through your eyes. It's not
You'll
No,
that
never
that's,
bright.
that's
sleep
what I'm curious
again.
about.
Not that bright a glow. No.
Okay, so it's only when your eyes are open. Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see just fine.
Yeah, with my full
Actually,
magic shenanigans.
you can see. Yeah, better.
Yeah. Then I explain my powers to them.
Oh, okay. That defeats the purpose of my 9 Arcana check.
No, I just made your 9 Arcana check into a success.
This is true, but yeah.
Oh, I have a 17 Arcana. You can
Yeah,
just
and
tell
I just
me.
So
explained.
you actually understand
Well,
what he said.
Yeah, but you feel very, very confident that you do believe this is something having to do with his gaining of ability, gaining of knowledge, that he does have different sight-like
with our
powers
level up.
with a level up, right? That it's manifested in a way that's actually noticeable in darkness. You don't think you'd notice it when you get close
You
to
kind
him.
of freaky.
Do you shoot lasers out your eyes? Where does the Eldritch Blast come from? Is it your finger, or can you shoot it at your eyes if you choose?
Is it
I
ever-
can shoot it
Is
out
it
of
ever
my eyes.
specified? I think any surface OU it can
Yeah,
come from,
no,
right?
it's
Yeah.
the same way like in 3.5 with
So,
Dragonfire
yes.
Adept. You just change Breath Weapon to a cone attack and suddenly you're playing a Firebender.
And it's there, yeah.
Remember how,
How
we're
many,
talking about visible farts? That would be kind of funny.
How many rays
That
do you
was
get? Do you get 2
breakfast.
yet?
No, just the one.
But so
I just
Zelen,
wink things to death.
You are aware that it's a new thing, but you do think even with your produce flame like burning over your hand, when you get close to Boris, even that's about enough to eclipse the amount of light coming from his eyes. It's not like there's like light beams coming out of his eyes. There's
I haven't cast Eldritch Blast yet.
A very soft and subtle glow.
So I think that it won't be noticeable when we're on the surface to people on the surface, but
if we go wandering around the city at night,
well, it's just a good
out.
thing to if we're trying to be disguisey down here, you might want to close your eyes because.
But and at a certain point, Jacob, you realize that you can tell that with all this talk that you realize that they change shape. Oh, Boris is squinting at you. Okay, well, let's move on. So,
testing out my heat vision.
All right,
yeah,
so
I got really good perception and survival stuff, but I have to cast dark vision in order to do that. So do you want to take point now?
Yeah, okay.
all right, so moving through this tunnel. Now, the tunnel is not like a tunnel you're just walking on.
Of course,
you
the
guys
main
are.
difference is if something puts a magical darkness in front of us, I won't know until you guys are like, "Hey, we
I can't see
through that."
Yeah, well.
Hey, the other thing is, shouldn't you be checking for tracks so we know if there's big
Yep,
living
there's
things
Boris
down
right in front
here?
of us.
Yeah, right. That might not be as helpful as you actually checking to.
I
I am all okay with finding more kegs to acquire.
This is a fair point. I mean, yeah, keeping a regular path, but I doubt like there's only one direction things travel through here. Just kind of looking side to side, see if I notice anything.
Well, the first description is that you're really not walking on a path.
Yeah.
That it is just a fissure through the rock that, like, leaning kind of sideways to your right, you're navigating through, but there isn't even any kind of disturbable materials on this that would make it a path. Go ahead and roll your survival at disadvantage.
Oh, that was
I
a
can help.
good one.
I can help.
You're proficient in survival?
I have a +9 in survival.
But
Oh.
but I guess you'd have to be with a plus that big.
I have the little black dot beside survival.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
I'll say, okay, so disadvantage. Like my first roll was a natural 18, but the disadvantage was 15, so I just rule out that second roll and just take the first one if she was helping
yeah,
me?
sure. She was
okay,
helping
so
you.
30.
Yeah, so really good.
Would have been 27.
Nothing with that high a roll. You're positive nothing has moved through this that would leave any kind of a discernible trail or track.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's like, oh, good. We're
Yeah,
not walking into that, but it's also, wow.
It's both
really bad at the same time.
good and bad, yeah.
All right, so let me just
I
roll.
wonder how much surface access this place has.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the food because there might not be.
Can I roll that
We're all
survival
carrying
over?
rations, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Can I roll that survival over to give me some sort of a semblance of how far down we are?
That's a real tough one. So without even her helping, that's really just your own brain. Well, I guess if you do discuss with it, that would still be somebody helping you.
We can apparently assist each other on perception checks, so I think we can
Yeah, I think that too.
assist
Like,
each other in depth perception.
Look with your
checks.
special eyes.
through
Wait,
talking.
I can do
I
a thing.
am. That's why I'm up front.
No,
Yeah.
you're supposed to say my brand.
I can do a thing called commune with nature, and I briefly become one with nature and gain knowledge of the surrounding territories.
You're going to find some very annoying moss.
In caves, the radius is
pronounced
limited to
Nernry.
300 feet. I know the terrain and bodies of water, prevalent plants, powerful celestial fiends, elementals, undead, influence from other planes of existence, and buildings.
That's a lot of stuff. What was the first one again?
Terrain?
No, just read the opening portion again. 'Cause you had a
I
whole
briefly
list.
become one with nature and gain knowledge of the surrounding territory. In the outdoors, it gives me 3 miles. In caves, underground settings, the radius is limited to 300 feet.
Okay, keep going.
It doesn't function where nature has been replaced by construction, such as in dungeons and towns.
Okay.
I gain knowledge of up to 3 facts of my choice.
Oh,
Terrain and bodies of water, prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples, powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead, influence from other planes of existence or buildings.
Okay, so what are the 3 things you want to focus on?
Well, first, I'm just talking to my friends about this. Is
is this a new spell?
It is a new spell.
Nice.
So, do we want to cast this so we get an idea? Are there buildings down here? Are there people
Well, I
down here? Are there?
I definitely think terrain, for one, would
I think
be
a
very
300-foot radius, or a 300-foot radius isn't that massive an area.
I understand that, but prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples, if they're within 300 feet of us, that could be handy to
how
know.
big are the open spaces down here that we're
Well,
kind of
so
walking
far, the largest space was right where the water was about to kind of boil back underground further, and you had that shore to wash up onto. So that cave itself would have been, oh gosh, like 15 by 20 foot room to give it
Okay.
a basic dimension.
So 300 feet would still give us a sizable idea, like if nothing else, just kind of like pathways to go through.
Yeah, sure. So then terrain is one of them then, Zetlin?
I think terrain and bodies of water.
Okay.
And then
That's one thing.
Was there?
Prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples.
Which
Okay.
one?
That's one. That's
Oh,
one.
that's
that's
all
one
considered
thing.
thing. That's a lot.
And
in
then,
one thing.
and I think buildings, because you can check for celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead, Boris.
Within 60 feet, and celestials, fiends, and undead.
Right? So which do we want to do? Do you want to see if there's any buildings down here, or do we want to check for celestials, fiends?
That actually sounds like overly powerful for being 5e. Are you sure you get all of them, or do you pick
Yeah.
something from that list?
You pick
picks
one
three.
of these three.
Yeah,
And
it's
They're listed
They're
together.
listed that way.
yeah, they're bracketed by semicolons.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it implies category.
Yeah, it does.
It's
So-
very 5e that it's written so non-specifically.
It's-
though.
So
It's true.
which do we want? Number one, do we want to do this, or do we just want to keep walking for a little
we
while?
might as well do it.
I vote yes.
Okay.
Um,
And then do we want to do buildings to see if there's
I
any?
think focusing on critters, because you're going
Okay.
to get peoples, so we can then reasonably infer
That's
from
true.
there
If they're going to live
there's gonna be
someplace.
buildings.
Okay. So I want to do the first three: terrain and bodies of water.
Okay.
Prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples. Powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead.
Okay, so we'll do those in reverse order. There is none in that last group.
Okay. So then there's
Within
nothing.
There's no
300 feet
magic
of where
critters.
you are.
There's
Okay.
no magic
Right.
critters
And the
within
next one
300
back
feet.
was
Plants, minerals,
minerals.
animals, or peoples.
You are in a mixture of stones. There's a conglomerate to it, but there is a lot of granite, and there's also a lot of limestone in this
okay.
area. So it might even be that there is some kind of a plate shift in this area, or the way that things have collapsed to form this valley. Largest bodies of water near you would be the river that's running back behind you.
Yeah.
And it seems to have pooled underground, like within that 300 feet, not too far from you, and then it flows on out of your range. So it's still moving, but it would seem that it's just in a tube.
So,
so
but
to
that's
speak.
the only body of water? Is that one?
Within
because
your
it's
range, that's the only
with the
body
only
of water
okay.
you see, right?
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
as far
And-
as
And no peoples that would fit that parameter within range of you right now.
What about animals?
300 feet. Yes, you do note that somewhere in cracks and in rocks somewhere that there are more of those cave fissures.
Okay. Okay.
But-
So
but
they're
nothing
definitely
beyond
cave
that.
fissures.
and
Okay.
does she get a nice mental picture of a good pathway to continue going to get us at least the highest elevation from where we are?
It seems like this is the trail within her 300 feet and it's just cracks that are in the rock.
Okay, so
no
it's
one's no one's hewn this out. It's
Nothing
just
breaks
natural
off and goes in
cracks.
different directions.
Not within that 300
Okay.
feet. No.
Well, let's continue, and then just watching specifically for those cave fissures.
All right. So
Casting time is 1 minute, so we're not going to get very far outside of that 300 feet to gain any more information.
Yeah.
All right.
How long does it last though?
Oh,
'Cause it takes 1 minute to
sorry.
cast.
cast,
if it
yeah.
lasts
Duration.
long.
It just said instant.
Oh yeah.
okay,
So
yeah, so it's poof, right there. Then moving on. So I've already rolled the number for an encounter, and as aware as you can possibly be, you don't encounter any more of those cave fissures through the course of Jacob. What you're determining, and we'll just keep that survival a moment ago. You think that it's getting close to what would be nighttime in the surface.
okay.
Oh, but you had something else too with that roll you made. You were figuring from the way that you guys went underground, you were already like maybe 500 or 600 feet underground to begin with, and then you think you might have gone down another 400 feet from there.
Oh
So
boy.
you guys are really, really
We're
deep.
deep.
Yeah.
You're pretty deep.
Hashtag deep.
But we're not having any problems with oxygen, so that means there's got to be, somewhere, there's got to be air getting into this cave.
Yeah.
All right, so do you camp on this in the middle of the trail? You'd have to be on the trail, but how do you want to set a camp?
I guess we'll find some sort of a alcove
Yeah,
nearby
if
that
we
we
find a
can
niche.
Yeah.
put our back into that and then rest there.
Okay.
Set watches because there are things around here.
Yeah.
Okay, roll a percentile for me, Jacob, and tell me if you want high or if you want low.
Let's do high.
Okay.
Oh, 96.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
nice. That you do. You find a place where it looks like there was, what is that, a cavitation of water at some point in the past. It made like a kind of a bubble hole and some limestone to one side, and it's large enough for you guys to have a camp off to that side.
Nice. And I'm
Do
just
we-
because we don't know, like it could just be that nothing that breeze auction has been down here. Do we want to make a fire to do any sort of cooking, or do we want to just?
Wood's a problem.
Cold camp.
Oh yeah. That is a
Unless
very
you feel
important
like
part of
burning
having a fire.
arrows, yeah.
I wonder if we should try to block the front of this opening, like instead of sleeping on our bedrolls, put them on the front of it. Well, you could put your little dinger things, your little alarms.
Yeah, I will stick my dinger things.
Yeah. Cover the place in your dinger thing.
I haven't used. I didn't use any spells
You
in
were
that last
dingling?
combat, so I have. I have a lot of dinger things that I can put all around the place. 7 of them actually.
Wow.
And when I wake up, I'm going to change Jast into a bat from a falcon because I think a bat would be more useful down
Do you have to recast that then? Like
I do have to recast it.
So that's like tomorrow. Call it tomorrow morning, even though it's just you're gonna wake up. In total darkness.
It doesn't. It's actually kind of interesting because I can do it as a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't actually cast me the spell slot, but I have to use the spell slot to have it. So
You have to prepare it.
You have
Okay.
to
Right.
prepare it. You're not
Yeah.
using the spells.
Yeah.
All right, so that happens. Any other changes you guys make during the night or the next morning?
I can't
Morning?
change my spells.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
so,
I can, but my paladin smells are are various flavors of whack things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So I just keep what I've got.
when you guys wake up, the your alarms never go off, Jacob.
Good.
That nothing's crossed this way.
Oh no, we're late for work.
Yeah, if you're phototrope,
Also, we're like 600 feet underground.
if you're
This commute's gonna be a bear.
yeah, close to 1,000. If you're phototropic, you'd actually probably wouldn't have waken up yet.
Yeah.
Those blackout curtains work really well in this
Yeah, right.
place. So you get your camp together. I'm guessing somebody gets a light source going. You do have torches.
For the mortals.
that you guys had that.
Yeah,
So-
we've also got a torch that doesn't
and
consume
then
fuel.
right that
True.
Zelen
Magical
has her
produce
thing
flame.
going, and then you guys go again. You're very aware because in your rations you have water as well, but you've never had a problem, Jacob, finding fresh food and water for the group consistently up in your favorite terrains. That it's easy. The life to eat is everywhere in the Brimroar,
Yeah.
and you're very aware of down here it's not.
Yeah, so
And you guys can get thirsty real quick.
yeah, strict water rationing, and I'd also go for limiting food rations as well.
Yeah. And more than
Like,
likely, we
just
probably.
kind of
I'm
very
ass-
basic stuff.
I'm assuming that water that we were in was that fresh water that we fell down.
It was.
Yeah. So if nothing else, we know that we're fully topped up because being in a cave, we would have thought like, okay, let's go ahead and grab some of this while we're here because
Yeah, we
don't
can
know if we're gonna
retrofit
Make sure
that.
we're
That's
full,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, not a problem. So you're going for only about another hour, and you hear it before you would see it. It's quite clear that there's water running somewhere ahead of you.
Okay.
As you
That's good.
close on it, there is a place where water comes out of a crack in the wall on the one side. It pools slightly right here and then flows on. Go ahead and do nature checks.
Any odd smell?
All right, so Jacob, what'd you roll?
You asked for nature.
Yeah.
So that's 3 plus numbers, which I think is still actually reasonably high. I'm on the wrong page. Scrolling over. Oh, 9.
Okay, Boris, did you roll?
13.
Oh yeah, wow.
7.
Zelen? Yeah. So Boris says, yeah, it's fresh. You can tell
Yeah.
it's fresh. So
It looks, safe.
yeah, so it's not much water that's
Doesn't
dripping
smell
through
like
right
dead
here,
guy.
but it definitely is. It definitely is fresh water. So about a day and a bit from where you left the river, you are at a spring right now. You can fill
Okay,
back up.
let's get nice and rehydrated. Probably refill water bottles again, drain them again, and then fill back up a second time. So taking
Yeah.
a good, depending on how fast it's going, probably like 20 to 30 minutes,
Okay.
just to make sure
Sounds
that
good.
we're fairly well hydrated and we've refilled our water.
Okay. Then just a little time after that, Jacob, you're very aware of it just because you can feel the air moving in a different way, just with your own passive perception.
Well, the fact that we feel a breeze at all is a very good sign.
Right, yeah.
That it's drafting from
Can I
someplace.
look with my special eyes?
Yeah, so as you're looking forward, you actually say, "Gosh, there's multiple splits in the tunnelway just ahead, and the tunnel you're in widens out to about 30 feet by 30 feet, but still kind of like just natural rock
Yeah.
formations. It isn't like it's a tube or a hallway, but different cracks break off of that and then come back to it, and it's not quite clear which one to take at this point. You need to do some kind of ranger divining to figure which one you'd want to go through.
Yeah. All right, look at my spells and how wonderful they are for doing this exact thing.
Or skill set divining. It's,
I was gonna
it's
say,
a matter
yeah.
of what you want to do.
I'll probably just do my survival. I mean, if we're hearing a breeze, maybe that means some dust has been kicked in here at some point. Maybe there's something that can be stirred up on the ground.
Okay,
But
go
I can
ahead.
see some tracks at this point. Throw it off the table. Ooh, good number. 29.
All right, yeah. So you point with the other ones, that one, and you take them into that direction, and just a little ways down that, like another 60 or 70 feet, you can see the tunnel comes back into it, and you think that it might have been one breaking off from before, and you can see others breaking off too. And just with that roll you made, it was so high that you think you're in an area of tunnels that are almost like a river delta, that they're breaking off from each other and reconnecting to each other, that you could probably take almost any one of these cavern paths and they're going to meet back to the others again. It's
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
like you're traveling through like an elongated sponge or something. It like all these things are connecting to each other, but it looks like it goes for a long time. You're staying relatively level, but you are angling slightly downhill.
That's the wrong way.
That's, well, I don't want to go that direction. But
And it's
if that's the direction the breeze is coming from, I do want to go that direction.
right. So whenever you take one that goes up, it does go up for a while, then it meets another passage and goes down. And you guys travel through this area for a number of hours. It's much slower going because of just how the rocks are formed that way.
No, wait, we're not my favorite terrain. I was about to say, no, it doesn't, but no, it does.
Now, you spend a whole day traveling that way, and then you set your camp the same way. And
keeping watches.
unless you do anything else, you spend another whole day traveling that way.
Did you want to do anything special with your bat familiar?
Yeah, but I was wondering about that. But I mean, I could send the bat to go scout ahead of us, or I could send the bat to go find water or something like that if we are concerned about that. Or do we have any mission for Jas the bat?
Water, I think, would be the paramount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of you are going to have to guide me because I see through his eyes, so I can't, or her eyes, so I can't see myself. But I'll send Jas.
I think you can still give it orders, and it just
I
goes.
can.
And you can choose to look through its eyes, or you can just have it go and then come back to you if it finds water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think you can just give it commands.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I'll send Jas to kind of scout ahead.
All right. So about if you tune into it periodically, it flies for brief little bits because it doesn't have its total mobility, but it's definitely maneuvering. That all these tunnels, whenever you are looking through its eyes, and I guess through its senses, are you echolocating with it? That it confirms what you've already determined, and that is that this is like a maze of tunnels that all seem to be going from one general area to another general area. But after about half a day's travel, it tells you, when you're looking through it, rather, because it doesn't tell you, that this tunnel is opening up into a massive cavern.
Okay.
So it would still be about a half a day ahead of where you guys are now. It never crossed water, but there is a massive, massive cavern up ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to share that.
That seems like a reasonable target location.
Can it see anything in the cavern? with
Yeah, I
its,
agree.
Like, I mean, as a bat, does it have tremor sense, blind sense, dark vision, stuff like that?
Even thinking echolocation, so it's kind of like buzzing around the walls of this cave as it's moving, that Zelen is looking through its eyes to see, or through its senses to see what it's seeing, that it is so huge, there isn't even a concept of the far side of the cave, that it is that big. But after a little bit, Zelen, you do note that there seems to be plants in it.
Okay.
Well, that means water.
True.
Well,
And
maybe. I mean, are there any like magical plants that could be without water?
doubt.
You immediately jump to something
Maybe
terrifying.
Potentially, but it would be a good sign in natural
Right.
cavern environments that'd be water.
Okay.
You're the person
So-
to answer that question. Oh, nature
Yeah.
person.
So
Let's
it
err on
is,
the side of it's a good thing.
All right.
uh,
So how far ahead of it?
about another half day going through
Another half
these
day.
tunnels. Yeah. So I've already rolled the encounter. You don't encounter anything else on the way. But then when you do, and again, the air is so different as you're getting the last portion of the tunnel, say the last 100 feet of, where all those breaking off tunnels eventually work themselves back down to be one single tunnel again. And you can smell the lushness. You can smell the green up ahead of you. And with it, very clearly, there's water as well. You're also noting that there is light up ahead.
Light.
Yes.
Can we tell just by looking at it if it's like flickering like a flame of a torch, or is it like pretty constant? Do we get any magical vibes from
Yeah,
it?
Jacob, it is definitely not flickering. It's a constant. Go ahead and roll Arcanas if people want to do that to see if they can get any kind of a magical vibe out of it.
5, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
15,
Me
take it
too.
or leave it.
Wow. So 5, 5, 15. Yeah, Boris.
I'm loving rolling really high on my really sucky skills.
I'm rolling really low on my really sucky skills.
That's how it is. It is gratifying to roll high on something you have like a bonus of 1 or something.
Tell us about religion, Trencher Boy.
It is the amount of luminosity is like soft starlight, and it is not flickering. You're not getting any sense of magic coming from it, though, Boris.
Okay.
Could it be open? Could be.
Can we see the source?
As you approach, you're getting closer to it, and then you do start. Jacob, you're aware that there are some plants in this part of the tunnelway, and then as you come out into the great expanse opening of this, you do get an idea of what Jast was, or Zelm was seeing through Jast's senses, and that is that this thing is truly a cavern. It's on the same order as where Shapanov's mission was. This is massive and massive down here.
That had
So
like a
how
whole
far
town in it.
have we actually stepped into the cavern, or are we in the doorway looking
I think
into
I've
the
crossed
cavern?
the threshold.
I want to
You have-
investigate these plants that we're next to. Just like, is there anything special about like oh, these plants have been extinct for thousands of years?
Actually, no. You
Venus man traps.
Yeah, no,
Maybe we
that's the
should
other thing
move
too.
on.
Are these carnivorous plants?
the size made for fire giants. Yes, the big ones.
Oh,
No, actually, what you're seeing mostly are ferns and mosses. The rocks are covered. The whole place, even in this very muted light, everything has just a green, lush look to it. And it's not as though it's like a jagged, rocky cave unto itself, or a flat, like an amphitheater, that it is uneven all over the place. You'd have to climb different areas to get to different spots of this. But everything seems colored green in this low light, with this layer of like ferns. Mostly, it's the first thing you see, that make the rock, the edges of the rock, and where a path might be in the rock, indistinct from everything else.
Before we get into this too far, do you want to cast your hand and go tickle some of these ferns?
I was about to say the same thing.
poke
I would take like
some
an
things?
arrow and just
That
like
sounded so completely inappropriate, but do you
tickle
Boris?
these ferns.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might phrase
the
it
range?
less euphemistically.
Okay.
10 feet.
All right, so just
Conjure magic hand. Have it
Put
move
forward.
some of the ferns.
so almost immediately it goes into that. You see a whole bunch of little cave crickets come jumping up out of that area. So
Well, we
there-
won't starve.
There's life down here too, and I do mean
Yeah,
like
but-
the kind the size of like your thumb. You know,
Don't you wonder
small.
then? I mean, usually it's an ecosystem, so there'd be something bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know. I don't trust anything that looks this magically good.
They're magically delicious.
Do we have a read on the light source yet?
Yeah. So do Pite. Well, you've already done magic. You've done
I'm
Arcana.
looking at it. What's
So-
it look like?
It looks like it is little spots in the ceiling that are glowing.
Little
So,
spots. Are they? Do they form
stars?
formations? Do they? Are we looking outside? Or are we looking at a ceiling?
Are we
with
looking
that
at a
check,
constructed ceiling that has like designs of constellations like the past
Right.
like
Yeah.
4
Okay, so
ceilings
Right.
we've
It
looked
is.
at?
It is definitely a ceiling, and these are things on the ceiling. And as you're going through your own brains looking for patterns in them, not only do they not have patterns like constellations, but you can see some of the points of light are moving.
Oh, like two together, like eyes,
No, more like individuals.
like thousands of
like
glowworms.
slugs.
Yeah, like there's some kind of
They're a light source. We don't have to
phosphorescent.
fry them.
Like there's both phosphorescent things that are static on the ceiling and the walls, but then there's also phosphorescent things that are moving.
Are
on
we
the
for
walls.
or against the idea of just firing an arrow up into the ceiling?
Against.
So, it,
What do you know is going to happen?
the
Well, you
then
people
just
might
do
use
it.
the light
sides,
you need.
the sides. Does it look hewn? Does it look man-made, or
No,
does
it
this
does
look
not.
natural?
It's like a natural cavern.
This looks like a natural
Completely
cavern.
natural cavern. And again, Jacob and Zelen in particular, as you're looking at it, you can see that there's also, like as you're like looking at the ground that's in here, and you like stir yourself through it, you caught a little flick of little salamander, just a few inches long, 5-6 inches long salamander. So Zelen's right. It does seem like it's its own little biome down here, but you're also seeing, things like little pill bugs.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna ask.
isopods.
I'm gonna send Jast up to the ceiling just to confirm that those are just little glowworms.
And
All
while-
right, so
and while
when
that's
one goes
happening-
up, it looks like when you're like watching through Jasp, it flies right up and eats one of them, and the little light goes away. That it's some kind of
yeah,
like a
it's some kind of-
luminous
Bug.
That's
bug
something a bat can
that's
eat.
on the ceiling, and it flies back
It's good
down.
enough for
and,
bats. It's good enough for us.
and you get that idea.
I want to watch, look at these plants around here, like paying attention to how they've been bent over in one way or another. See if I can determine what's the largest creature that's kind of moved through this area, if there's any
that's
sign
a good
of it.
idea.
Yeah, honestly, these things grow up like they're just like their own replete plant. That it looks like nothing knocks these things over. That you are by far the biggest things that have come through here as you're just like, stepping and chopping things aside. Have you rolled a nature check since you've walked into the place?
Nope, I have not.
Go ahead and do one right now then.
Nature. I'm good at that one.
Yeah, you should be.
11.
Yeah, the DC is a 10. So as you are looking at it, you can tell that even like where you're walking through the mouth of this tunnel that led to it, there's no scars in the algae where you'd have to step right here, and that would, and you've just done it, knocked algae off of the edge of a rock that you just stepped onto. So nothing, even a quadruped would knock stuff loose. So
Yeah.
Nothing big has come through here.
So do we see the water source?
Well,
Or hear it or
you don't see it at this
feel
point.
mushiness?
But you guys, it's huge. You think just by what Jast is doing echolocating, this thing is acres. It's just acres and acres down
Wow.
here. It's huge.
So I think what we've found is tantamount to an oasis.
What's the
Right.
brightest light that we can create? Can we do anything that kind of just completely lights up this
Moonbeam.
whole area? So that well, yeah, if we can do something that lights up this area so that way we can get a good view of all of the surrounding walls.
Yeah,
that'd be
review
kinda
what you guys
nice.
can cast to see what you guys could do to do a bright light something.
I forget what we just called it. I have my ding thing, whatever.
Alarm.
I know.
You do know,
I know
Zelen,
what it's supposed to be called.
that the ceiling is high enough in here that you could actually even call lightning.
Yeah,
In
I'm
this
not
place.
sure what we want to do that.
Well, it would definitely get
don't-
bright for a moment. You could
Yeah.
see about the whole thing.
That'd be just terrifying because I'm thinking like weeping angels from Doctor Who. Like we light it up just long enough to know that
To
we're
see all this.
surrounded by things, and then the light goes away. We're like, well, it's been a fun run.
Great idea. Let's pause in the game right now.
Work up some stats for it.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, right.
Got that one ready. So
Um,
unless you guys are moving into it, you're not going to see much more from right here, even with your exceeding range, Boris.
Yeah.
That you're seeing ferns, changes in the levels of things, but you're not seeing.
Am I seeing any absences of ferns? Because I think that'd be the best indicator for a water source. Just that it's not growing on top of it.
No, you're still not close enough. You would.
Well, I'm going to start moving through. I think
Okay,
really,
good.
truly what this is just an oasis.
Yeah,
more
so-
or
Okay,
less.
well, I'll move with you, but definitely head on a swivel. I'm particularly interested in any shelves that might be up high where things can drop down from.
Okay, sure.
Or any of the other openings, because I'm assuming this isn't the only opening leading into this
I'd agree.
ginormous place.
There are numerous levels inside this, but you're staying on the same relative area. And as you're moving through it, you do see that there's like, different like gaps and fissures and places you could drop off of and truly just fall. In some places where it slopes up lovely this way and that. There are places, mostly at the more peaks where the rocks kind of flatten out near the edge of a drop off, Boris, where there's no ferns on them and you get a pretty good view.
Yeah, where soil can't really take root.
And from one of those places, you're looking kind of off to your left that you can see where there is edge of water, and you think there's probably a fair-sized pond. The way
There
it
it
looks
is.
from here.
So I'm going to, I've had produce flame. I'm going to get a torch out and I'm going to light my torch as well.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I want to see is if the fire on the torch blows and moves.
Oh, okay, yeah. So as you are lighting that up and stepping forward,
And I'll guide them towards where I'm seeing that pond because that's important.
okay, so you're walking with Boris to that point. Zelen, it looks like air rather, is hitting it from different areas. That it'll burn fairly straight up for a while, and then it kind of like blows to the left and it blows to the right. Jacob, you're very aware of it. There seems to be air moving into this tunnel or into this passage, this cavern, from different sources coming in and out.
That kind of makes
there's a
sense
lot of
why
air
there's so
movement.
much planted down here because, things have blown in
Does-
and planted themselves in the only
Yeah,
fertile
silt
place.
buildup.
Does anything
Right.
react to this new light source?
Oh yeah, there's just all kinds of things jumping and hopping around right here, things scurrying away. That it looks like, I guess with the nature checks you guys made a moment ago, that these things look like when you're seeing them that they don't actually have like some things have like an eye, but like a non properly formed eye, or just don't look like they have eyes at all.
Malformed, not properly formed, or vestigial, not properly formed?
More vestigial, improperly formed.
Good. I don't want to be drinking out of Radiation Lake.
Right. That it looks like these things, but how they've been down here, have adapted out of using their own eyesight, but they're still reacting to, through whatever.
Probably more
their
us moving than the torchlight itself.
sensors, that too. The actual fire itself and the heat it's giving off. no one's asked, but it's probably been about like 65 degrees walking through these spaces the entire time.
Yeah.
And moving into here. So with the increased light, Boris, past where this lake is, you see there's an unusual feature that looks kind of roughly like dome shaped in a big leveled area.
Weird.
That's like further off to
How
your.
big a dome?
Tall, like maybe like 18, 20 feet tall.
Okay.
And not exactly like a half of a ball dome,
Right, yeah.
but roughly that shape. It actually looks as though it might be something constructed on this level. It doesn't fit the shape,
The kind of roll of it.
Yeah, the kind of the jarring angles of rock covered in moss. This is still covered in moss and ferns, but it looks like it might have been a building at one point.
That's something to look into.
And that's on. Have you told us about it?
Yeah, I'd share that.
So, and it's on the other side of this water?
Yeah, how much water is there?
Acres, like a few.
Okay.
Is it deep?
Yeah, am I getting a sense of depth looking into
probing right here, it's only inches deep where you are.
it?
But you could imagine that it could be 4 or 5 feet deep in
If
different parts.
if it's not clouded, I don't think it'd really.
Oh, with your eyesight?
Yeah, because I don't need
fair.
the light source.
Yeah, you can tell the water at its deepest
Kind of
point
guessing at.
is about 6 feet deep at its deepest. And it would be outside of your visual range. It keeps going. But to see just how the rocks are formed here and when light pops up from zone periodically,
Bring in a wall somewhere.
yeah, you could say that there's probably like 4 acres of this called a pond.
So
down
is
here.
there anything
so big.
interesting on our side of the water to look at and explore?
Yeah, so far it's just ferns right up to the water itself.
Nothing on the walls, nothing unusual, no paths.
No, actually, just make a quick check that you do note as you're looking for it so specifically that you find and pick up a snake skin.
Yeah.
So there's at least like that kind of a
That's probably
snake
our
down
big
here.
predator.
Right. So I do have a spell, but I'd need to rest to have it prepared because I don't have it prepared, and it's control water. So I could literally part the water for us to get to the other side.
Oh, you can walk around it. It isn't like it's.
I thought you said it was acres.
It is acres, but you can still go around it. This whole area, if you could imagine, is probably this cavern, like Shapanis Mission, is about 40 acres, and this pond is like 4. So
Oh, okay.
it's relatively small
Okay.
in this
Okay.
place
Okay.
itself.
And again, going back to that light source, the light source of the bugs on the ceiling, are they doing anything differently now that there's a brighter
And
light source on the,
I think
on
at
the
that
bottom?
distance, no, they're a couple hundred feet over your
Okay.
head. So you're more than 200 feet over your head in a lot of places. So no, it's just not getting to them that same
So do we
way.
want to head around the pond? And,
Yeah, and start investigating whatever the
Yeah.
structure
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Get over to the structure.
All right, so
Whichever pathway looks better, left
but
or
I
right.
think we do proceed with caution because anytime there's water, it's going to call animals.
Right, yeah.
okay,
There's
so,
actually just a dire hippopotamus in it.
yeah, so not even rolling any kind of like dex or any kind of a check. You guys are aware, and you're moving, and sometimes you have to stop and back up and go around again, just because there's it's not a good route to take.
Mud.
But eventually, you get up to where this building is, and it looks like it's made out of large curved beams
Oh,
that are
beams.
that are covered by they could be stone beams that are covered by more moss and ferns. There's not a clear way to go into it from the side you're approaching, but you think you could step between the beams to get to the inside.
How far apart are they?
They would be about like 2 feet from
Pretty
each other.
consistent.
Pretty consistent, yeah.
So wait a minute. I want to make sure that I understand this. It's roughly oval, almost like a ball cut in half.
No, I said it's not like a ball. It's more elongated than that, but it is still kind of like dome, like it's curved.
It's curved,
Yeah.
but it's not solid.
No.
So it's just
like a cage in a way.
yeah, like
Huh.
yeah, like ribs or like
Are the beams meeting?
If they do overhead, it's so down where you are, no. But if they do up on the top, then it's so covered and cloaked in various ferns.
I walk
But
up to
there is something that the ferns can be on.
Yes,
which would
So
imply.
and they're pretty tightly packed.
I walk
there,
up to
yeah.
one of these beams and like tap on it, and I mean,
Scrape some of the
I'll
moss
poke
away?
it. Yeah, scrape the moss. Is it stone? Is it wood?
It's stone. It is actually stone.
It's stone. How could stone form like this? It would almost
Magic?
It's like it would have to drip over something or get poured over something.
Or was sculpted deliberately magically?
Yeah.
And can we see anything of note inside, like standing next to it now? Like what's on the other side
Yeah,
of this thing?
you said like ribs. Is there a spine in the middle?
Well, you have to go inside because it's also coated with all of these ferns and things on the
Yeah.
inside too. So it's the floor itself is fairly indistinct, like the
Yeah.
ground you've walked on to this point.
Can you
couldn't see detail.
Stick your lit head in there? I mean, can you like cast light in there?
I can cast light anywhere I can touch.
So
But-
just so we could see inside there better before we walk inside.
Sure. Yeah, I cast light.
Now, in a way, it almost makes it a little more obscure. The same way that if you
Yeah.
you turned on like the headlights of your car in a fog, that it really highlights that there's these plants going all over it. But it is like this, like a big wigwam is what it would be the closest thing to. But the interior height maybe 16, 18 feet high.
I guess we go in.
Yeah.
All right, so as you're going into it, again, you can tell that you're actually having to step up onto beams, and
Even got a
there's-
floor?
yeah, the floor seems like the
Huh.
beams as though they curved around underneath of it as well.
Is it the same thing? Gaps? Like
Yes.
we're kind of like walking on balance beams, kind of?
And as you're moving toward, I guess, like the middle, at no quick pace, go ahead and make perception rolls.
I can do that.
16.
Okay, go ahead.
24.
26.
Wow, yeah. So everybody made this. It is exactly how you'd picture if you were about maybe 6 or 7 inches tall, maybe like 5 inches tall, and we're walking inside someone's rib cage.
Whoa.
So it's the rib cage of someone like
Suddenly, I hate this again.
120 feet tall.
Yeah, something like that. It is a huge rib cage in the middle. And now that you're there, you can tell, yes, that obscured by these various plants running down through the
Yeah.
middle of it, along the length of its kind of unusual domed, elongated dome, is a spine.
So we're picking out the skeleton, of legs further the one way and then
Right.
like
yeah,
a
so
head up the
can we
other.
follow that along
Exactly.
and
So
see a complete skeleton?
As you look down to your left, you can see kind of running more or less into the direction of where the pond is.
Arms on
You
one
can
side.
now tell that there is, these big, like lengthy mounds that are leg bones. You can't really see feet from where you are. In the opposite direction, you realize what you thought was an outcropping of rock over that way
Is a skull.
Is a skull.
Let's go to the
but
head.
humanoid?
Yes.
Human shape.
It seems to be human, like human proportion.
Wow.
I think we should go to the head, see
Yeah.
if there's anything over there.
All right, so exiting the rib cage, you're coming out.
Probably
like,
moving up through and coming out like the collar.
near the-
I agree,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And
The inverse yabba dabba doo.
they
Yeah,
are
but
there.
while we're moving, I'm going to be looking at these bones. Can I tell what happened? Are any of them broken? Do any of them show like
Gouges.
Go- and-
gouges,
and do they
slash
feel
marks?
like-
Are any of them burnt?
Do
or-
they actually seem like bones, or do they feel like they've been like they were bones and they've been like I don't know,
Fossilized.
Fossilized, yeah.
Yeah, so with, again, using the nature checks from before, Jacob, you are seeing the points where ligaments would connect to bone, just like on any, like a quadruped or biped, because those are very notable on bones. You can see the holes going through these stone bones where blood vessels would go through. So if someone sculpted this to mirror a human being or some other kind of a creature,
Really
they did it
Yeah.
really detailed wise that you could imagine this thing would have had musculature at some point on it. Very, very clearly. And then you
mean-
come out and you're at, the jawbone that is like laying down flat,
But
and the
did-
skull sitting, just adjacent to it.
While we were walking, did I notice anything? Like, were there any?
Possible injuries. Or
Were
cause
there
of death.
injuries, or were there? Did some of the bones show signs of being eaten at? Like maybe it could have had some kind of cancer in it. I mean, do I notice anything about what could have killed it? Because if something can kill a 120-foot thing, I kind of would like to know.
Well, I
we
mean,
can do
and
that.
knowing the story,
Go-
yeah, it's true. But
go
the
ahead
stories
and-
we heard from Violet, we're reasonably positive this probably was a living thing, but it could have been killed by something else also as big as it.
So with that, guys, roll an investigation roll
I
as you're putting together
suck at-
various facts about this thing.
Yeah, 7.
14.
18.
So the 14 and the 18, you're looking up and pointing, pointing out, look at that, Jacob, you're saying it, that right about where the sternum of this thing would be, just to one side of it a little bit, some of these stones have been sliced, that they're not completely broken off from the others, but you could imagine a blade, like a blade large enough to cut down giant towers. A blade was thrust right into this thing.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Yeah,
This might be the region's
we saw that
oldest
already.
murder scene. Yeah.
We saw the tower that got
Yeah,
completely
that it was
sliced
Yeah, that
clean.
got
yeah.
sliced. Yeah.
Though I
Who
thought when we had
is
seen
this
that, we
guy?
were more on the thought of dragonfire than
Yeah.
bladed instrument.
But I hadn't thought of a bladed instrument that could
Dragon
be.
blade.
And there was evidence that would actually, as you're thinking back to those moments, that there's some place we think, oh yeah, the way that was melted in this kind of amorphous way, that that could have been a dragon. But then in some of those areas on those towers, you think, wow, if a sword could be that big, that could have been a sword.
Huh.
That both
Wow.
would make
Do we
sense.
see any evidence of a sword here? Does it look like?
Well, I think that was the thing that was being stabbed through the ribs. That was
No, I know, but does it look like this thing was buried? Because I'm wondering if it was buried, could it have been buried with some things like a circlet?
You've not noticed anything like that, any artifacts. But if a person died in battle and fell, they never lie like they've been posed in repose. That
Right,
this
yeah.
this being has been posed. That he is laying out
He is posed.
either
okay.
that he was very focused and allowed himself just to stretch his legs out and his arms out and fall asleep and die, or somebody after the fact put him this way,
Buried him
like
here.
as a sign of respect.
So I'm thinking about like different cultures and their burial techniques. Do we find anything of note near the head, like were they buried with any sort of jewels, like where there were coins placed over its eyes? Anything to that effect?
You're looking around looking for those things. You see nothing on it, Jacob. But as you said before, head on a swivel, you notice that there is a rectangular structure that you can just catch in the edge of Zellen's light that is at about like where shoulders would be and like off to its left. Its left. So moving back out and away from it just a little bit. And that seems to be the only feature near here that we something else.
Can I
Let's
get
go-
some more detail on it before we approach?
Yeah, sure. Oh, yes, that it is. It's a stone upright, fairly crudely made actually, but it looks like the top of the altar is very polished and about 3 feet high.
It's still polished. It isn't grown over.
There's actually stuff that's on it, and you realize that though it isn't plants on this, call it a table or altar, it does look as though there had been like ceramic jars or stone jars set upon it.
But it's not overgrown, is my point.
That is correct.
And is it so it's not a niche? I was wondering if it was going to be one of those statue niches that
No,
we've
it's
seen
not. It's
where
just
people are
out
buried.
it's out in the open. That's why
And
Jacob noticed
so
it
it's an
standing out that way.
altar, but is it an altar sized for us, or is it an altar sized for
For
120?
human-sized beings, it's like about three.
For our size
three
human
and a
size.
half
You
feet
want to see if
tall.
any of this part or area is consecrated?
Yeah, sure. I'll get closer to it.
So you've walked up on it. It's very clear that there's broken stone crockery around this. And then once you do that, Boris, yes, the area is sanctified.
Interesting.
What are our abilities of communing with the dead? Or
Not.
can you just ask your deity questions? Are you able to do that?
I mean, I can ask my patron questions all day. Given he's localized to a point, I don't think he'll answer much.
Ah, he probably can't hear you from here. Good point.
And as he is looking at it, Jacob, Boris is looking at it, saying, this is sanctified. Not behind, on the other side of this altar, you see there is a staircase going down.
Stairs.
Down.
And human proportion.
Huh.
Well, let's go take a look. See.
This is
Yeah,
weird.
absolutely.
So wait a minute. I'd like to just take a look at the things that are on the altar. Are they fresh? Has somebody been dropping stuff
It
off?
looks as though they've been there for a long, long time. There's not, well, actually, we just roll on that. There are a handful of containers that are still in their proper shape, but it looks like there's like moss or stuff growing out of it, and many broken jars. Like over time, they've been broken.
Okay. Huh.
Walking
Okay.
to the other side of it now?
Yeah, stairs
heading to
sound
the
awesome.
doorway and stairs. Yeah.
It looks like some of the rock is eroded away from it as the stair, whoever made this, it's not just cut into the rock. It's a different kind of stone that's been put here up to this altar.
Huh.
And it looks like part of the stone that's surrounding it has eroded away. So part of the staircase kind of juts out into nothing. But looking from the top of the stairs down, it's even. It hasn't moved. It's still level. It's at the right angle. And at the bottom of it, you can see there's an archway, but there's a stone blocking it on the opposite side.
Like it was bricked up?
Like it was, well, it looks like it could have been. It almost looks like, even with your eyesight, that it's not made of a single slab, but a whole bunch of little pieces, like how, like safety glass spiders.
Yeah,
breaks.
sure.
that it looks very much like that.
And
Let's
was that
get a little
stone
closer and take a look-see.
Was that stone on our side of the wall, or was it on the other side? Like something was keeping something out of here, or keeping something in here?
It looks like it was blocking this archway because the archway is only 4 or 5 inches deep. It really doesn't go in of any substantial depth whatsoever.
What's the stone stairs made out of?
You recognize it right off as being black tourmaline.
Wasn't that what the black stairs are made out of?
That's why they're the black stairs, yeah.
Whoa.
11 on an investigation.
Did you want us all to do that?
You certainly could. Are you guys on the stairs,
Yes.
walking down?
I was going down to the stairs looking at like the wall. And
Okay,
the
yeah.
archway.
So Boris has gone on ahead and he's walking down the stairs. And they do have like some fern and algae and moss stuff on it. But at that wall, Boris, you can see that this was not made out of individual stones. It was a solid slab of black tourmaline, but it has been shattered. It's been fractured, and yet none of the pieces have fallen out of it.
Huh.
It stayed there.
Does it have a single fracture point?
No, it seems like it fractured evenly all over the whole thing.
So, I mean, does it look like one thing punched it and then it fractured from that
No,
point?
it does not.
Like,
It fractured evenly
From
from
multiple impacts. Yeah.
or from a single like sonic something and just shattered it. But it didn't collapse. Any other kind of checks you guys want to do with any of your skill sets or
Yeah,
spells?
I'm going to do a quick check for magic.
Okay, go ahead.
Just do a thunder wave, see if you can knock in the wall.
Well, let me get out of the way first.
Yeah, you're part of the munition. I have
Okay,
nothing
so
that
I'm
would give me
casting
any
detect
information.
magic using the wand.
Okay, so put a pin in that one. Jacob, go ahead and make an investigation.
I'm really good at those.
Awesome.
18.
This is actually not just black tourmaline, but you remember the pattern of the tourmaline from the black stair. This is the same pattern of stone, like it was cut in sequence out of the exact same quarry.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, that's
No.
there's a lot of
Wow.
distance there.
Like
We-
it's the top of the same staircase.
We've dealt with teleportation shenanigans before. I don't like that at all.
Are there like runes or
Is it any way we could
sigils for
be
a
underneath
portal?
it? There's no way we could have traveled that far underneath
No.
here, is there?
And Boris, as you're looking more closely at the capstone, the keystone,
13 on an arcana or 17 on a religion.
yes, you do recognize that the sigils that are in there are the arcana to cast a teleport spell.
So that's where the black stair goes.
That's where the black stair used to go at
and
some
it's just
point.
broken now.
Oh,
Weird.
weird.
Wild.
When are we going to figure out how to use it and go back and visit our families?
That would be a very cool thing.
That'd be really convenient. And that'd also be a great way to just leave.
You know, right?
Now, Zelen, as you turn around, like you had just said a moment ago, as you're looking back at the stair risers, you can see there are words written in them.
Boris, can you read these?
Can I read them?
So as you're scanning just back up the stairs, from the bottom heading toward the top, it reads, "Welcome, traveler. Bow your head. Approach. Marvel in sanctity of Vartan Grave." Thanks for listening. Have a favorite subterranean monster or race? Let us know on Instagram by September 15th, and we'll try to work it in. Concerned about how the party will regain the surface? Send us your predictions. Please help us develop the podcast by supporting us at subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge. So, Boris, the filament is still attached to you. Actually, I'm going to start again because I probably should see about leveling up, or that you guys have leveled up.
That
also,
is a record.
did you...
The first pause.
Okay, yeah.
Everything's muted, but that was a record.
I was about to go, is your computer muted? I don't think we can get...
3.5 seconds in.
I think we'd have to interrupt someone during the last time to beat that
Right.
record. So I think
don't
that
like
one's
how you
just going
said
to...
that.
Last time, what the hell?
Last... Oh, what the hell?
How do I even write this? 003. 3 seconds in.
Or just,
Do you want to just start again?
that's where it just begins.
No, I really liked that last time. This is
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you
You feel
nailed
like
it.
you nailed it.
Super
Last
touched
time
you.
on
Nailed
the
that one.
Empire's Edge.